What if the greatest truth you have never accepted is this? It is not your body that suffers the most. It is your mind that refuses to see what it has been quietly feeding all along. The Buddha taught that everything begins in the mind. Every thought is a seed, and every seed eventually becomes reality. Yet perhaps you are still searching for healing outside yourself, without ever looking deeply within. Maybe you carry a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot heal, a tension that nothing seems able to calm, an invisible pain that no one truly understands. But what if that pain is connected to the thoughts you repeat over and over, without even realizing it? This realization may be unsettling, but it is also a doorway leading toward genuine inner transformation. In this journey, you will discover how your thoughts shape your inner state, how they can either nourish suffering or become a path to healing. You will understand why certain wounds remain, even when everything appears to be getting better on the surface. If these words resonate with you, write in the comments, "I choose inner healing." Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Dharma Light, and stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear may be the very insight your mind has been waiting for all along, without even knowing it. From the earliest teachings of the Buddha, one profound truth has echoed through the centuries with remarkable simplicity. The mind comes before all things. The mind leads all things. Everything becomes what the mind shapes. From the earliest schools of Theravada Buddhism to the profound teachings of Mahayana, this truth has never changed. Both suffering and liberation arise in the very same place, your mind. Yet over time, this teaching has been reduced to little more than an abstract philosophical idea. In reality, it is profoundly practical, deeply alive, and directly applicable to every moment of your daily life. In the Dharma, healing is not merely the absence of physical pain. It is the gradual liberation from the mental conditioning that creates and sustains suffering. Every thought that is repeated gradually becomes a habit. Every habit gradually becomes an inner structure, and that inner structure shapes your body, your emotions, and your reactions. This teaching reveals that what you experience outwardly is often a reflection of a much deeper process taking place within. When your mind is restless, your body feels it. When your mind is peaceful, your body naturally follows. Yet in the modern world, this understanding has largely been forgotten or simply ignored. We try to eliminate symptoms without ever questioning their source. We temporarily soothe what disturbs us, while the root of the suffering continues to grow unnoticed. Modern life pulls us away from this truth because it asks something many people would rather avoid: inner responsibility. It invites you to look honestly at what you are feeding within yourself, instead of focusing only on changing what exists outside of you. And this is where a profound misunderstanding begins. You believe your suffering comes only from circumstances, from other people, or from chance. But the Buddha taught that attachment, fear, and the illusion of the ego are the true roots of suffering. You cling to fearful thoughts. You continually imagine painful scenarios. You identify with stories created by your own mind, and without realizing it, you strengthen those very states. This truth may be difficult to accept, but it is also deeply liberating, because if your mind participates in creating your suffering, then it can also participate in your healing. Simply understanding this begins to transform something within you. You realize that you are not condemned to suffer forever. You become aware of your own role in what you experience. And that awareness opens a new path. A path where healing no longer depends entirely on external circumstances, but begins with the way you see, the way you think, and the way you meet each moment of your life. Before we continue into this deeper exploration, allow me to show you the path that lies ahead. In this next section, you will discover 7 essential revelations. Each one is a key that unlocks a deeper understanding of the hidden power of your thoughts. The first 3 revelations will show you how your mind creates suffering, often without your even realizing it. The next 4 will open the door to a deeper understanding, showing you how this very same mind can become a place of healing, transformation, and liberation. If you remain fully present as you listen, you may begin to realize that these revelations are not merely ideas. They are experiences you have already been living without recognizing them. The very moment you begin observing your own mind, everything begins to change. As long as you live inside your thoughts without seeing them, they are the ones guiding your life. But the moment you step back and simply observe, something shifts. You move from identification to awareness, and it is within that space that true transformation becomes possible. This transition is subtle, yet it is essential because it marks the beginning of a genuine inner journey. The first revelation is this: your thoughts are not reality, but they create your experience of reality. What you believe to be true is often nothing more than an interpretation you have repeated countless times. The exact same situation can be experienced as either a threat or an opportunity, depending entirely on the state of your mind. Yet most of your life, you have been taught to automatically believe whatever you think. This revelation shatters that illusion. It shows you that thoughts are constructions, conditioned responses, not absolute truths. The moment you truly understand this, you stop reacting automatically. Instead, you begin observing, and within that observation, a new space opens, a space where you can choose. Instead of simply reacting, that is where healing begins. The second revelation is that your body listens to every thought you think, every mental tension, every fear, every worry echoes throughout your body. Perhaps you feel pressure in your chest, an unexplained exhaustion, a constant restlessness, without realizing that the source is not physical, but mental. The Buddha taught that the body and the mind are inseparable. Nothing exists in isolation. This revelation shows you that every time you nourish fearful or negative thoughts, your body responds. It tightens, it contracts, it becomes exhausted. But when your mind grows quiet, your body naturally follows. It relaxes, it breathes more freely, it begins to restore itself. To understand this is to realize that healing does not happen only through the body. It also begins with the thoughts you silently cultivate each day. The third revelation is that whatever you repeat inwardly eventually becomes your reality. The mind learns through repetition. A single thought has very little power, but a thought repeated again and again becomes a belief. And every belief shapes your emotions, your choices, and your actions. If you constantly tell yourself, "I am exhausted, I am lost, I will never change," your mind gradually accepts those statements as truth. This revelation shows that you are constantly programming your inner world, usually without realizing it. But it also offers tremendous hope. Because if you have created these patterns, you can also transform them. By changing what you repeatedly tell yourself, you slowly begin changing the life you experience. This transformation may be gradual, but it reaches the deepest roots of your suffering. The fourth revelation is that the ego uses your thoughts to keep suffering alive. The ego is not searching for peace. It is searching for survival. It wants to strengthen itself, protect itself, defend itself. And to accomplish that, it continually feeds repetitive thoughts, judgment, comparison, fear, regret. You may believe that you are thinking freely, but in reality, much of your mental activity has been conditioned by the ego's constant need to protect a fragile sense of identity. This revelation shows you that many of your thoughts are not serving your well-being. Instead, they keep alive the illusion of control. The moment you become aware of this, you begin to see these mental patterns with greater clarity. You realize that you do not have to follow every thought that appears. You can simply observe it, allow it to pass, without becoming attached. And within that detachment, something begins to loosen. The ego gradually loses its grip because it is no longer being fed automatically. This realization opens a quieter, more stable, more spacious inner world. And within that space, healing becomes possible. Not by fighting the ego, but by no longer feeding it. The fifth revelation is that inner silence is a profound form of healing. You have become accustomed to the constant noise of your mind, to the endless stream of thoughts that rarely comes to rest. Yet between two thoughts, there is a space, a silence, and within that silence, there is no fear, no tension, no conflict. This revelation invites you to discover that space and slowly make it your home. It is not an emptiness to fear. It is a peaceful presence. Whenever your mind becomes quiet, even for a brief moment, your body begins to soften. Your emotions settle. You enter a form of rest that is deeper than sleep itself. This silence is not something you create. It has always been there, hidden behind the noise. You simply need to learn how to recognize it. By cultivating this inner silence, you offer your mind a place where it can truly regenerate. And that regeneration reaches every level of your being. This teaching is subtle, yet extraordinarily powerful. It reminds you that healing does not always come through action. Sometimes, it comes through the absence of inner agitation. The sixth revelation is that you can consciously choose the direction of your mind. Although thoughts arise on their own, you still have the power to decide which ones you nourish. That distinction changes everything. You cannot always control what appears in your mind, but you can always choose what you strengthen. This realization restores a deep sense of inner responsibility. You are no longer a helpless victim of your own thinking. You become an active observer, capable of gently redirecting your attention. When a fearful thought appears, you can choose not to follow it. When a peaceful thought arises, you can choose to cultivate it. Over time, these repeated choices gradually reshape your inner landscape. Your mind becomes less chaotic, more harmonious, more clear. And that inner harmony creates fertile ground for healing. This revelation reminds you that transformation does not depend on immediate changes in the outside world. It grows through steady inner practice. And through that practice, a new way of being quietly emerges. Freer, more conscious, more peaceful. The seventh revelation is that true healing begins the moment you stop running away from what you feel. For a very long time, your mind has learned to avoid pain, to hide it, to escape from it. The moment an uncomfortable emotion appears, a thought rushes in to cover it. A distraction pulls your attention away. A judgment pushes it aside. But whatever you run from does not disappear. It remains quietly within you, continuing to shape your life from beneath the surface. This revelation shows that suffering does not persist because it is too powerful. It persists because it has never been fully welcomed. True healing begins the moment you stop resisting your inner experience and allow yourself to meet it with awareness, compassion, and complete presence. In the Dharma, transformation does not come through avoidance. It comes through conscious presence. The moment you dare to remain with what you are feeling, without immediately trying to change it, you enter an entirely different space. You observe the pain. You feel it. You allow it to exist. Without identifying with it, little by little, something begins to shift. What once felt frozen begins to move. What once felt unbearably heavy becomes lighter. Not because you forced it to disappear, but because you stopped fighting it. This is a profound revelation because it challenges everything your mind has been conditioned to believe. The mind assumes that healing means eliminating, controlling, or fixing. But the wisdom of the Buddha teaches something very different. Healing arises from understanding. And understanding is born through direct observation. When you look at an emotion without running away from it, you begin to recognize its impermanent nature. You see that it appears, it changes, and eventually it fades away. It is not who you are. It is simply a passing experience. By cultivating this kind of presence, you create an inner space where everything can be welcomed without conflict. And within that space, tension naturally begins to dissolve. The body softens. The mind becomes quiet. Your energy begins to flow differently. You have forced nothing. You have controlled nothing. You have simply allowed life to unfold. This revelation reminds you that healing is not a battle. It is a return to balance. A balance that has always existed, but your resistance, prevented you from seeing. When you fall asleep with this understanding, resting in your heart, something within you settles deeply. You no longer try to escape. You begin to welcome. And within that welcoming, a silent transformation begins to unfold. Beyond words, beyond thoughts. Before we continue, let me show you clearly what you are about to discover. In this next section, you will explore 7 principles of the Dharma. Each one serves as a practical guide for transforming the way your thoughts influence both your mind and your body. The first principles will help you recognize the invisible patterns that quietly sustain your suffering. The following principles will open the door to a deeper, more embodied understanding, where every insight becomes something you can actually live, not merely understand. If you remain attentive, you will begin to realize that these principles are not separate from your everyday life. They have always been present. You simply had not learned to see them clearly. The bridge between understanding and transformation is essential. You can hear a profound teaching, agree with it, even admire it, but until it becomes part of the way you think, the way you respond, and the way you live, it remains outside of you. These principles are here to bridge that gap. They transform wisdom into lived experience. They make visible what once seemed invisible. The first principle is conscious awareness of your thoughts. Everything begins here. As long as you do not observe your mind will lead you. But the moment you bring gentle awareness to your thoughts, something immediately begins to change. You notice that thoughts arise, repeat themselves, and disappear without you truly controlling them. That realization alone is a profound awakening. It opens the possibility of no longer following every thought automatically. And within that space, a new kind of freedom quietly begins to emerge. The second principle is non-identification. You are not your thoughts. No matter how intensely you experience them, they are only passing movements of the mind. Like clouds drifting across an open sky, they appear, they change, and they disappear. The awareness that observes them remains. Yet your mind has learned to cling to them, to mistake them for part of your identity. This confusion lies at the heart of much of your suffering. The moment you understand this principle, you create space. You observe your thoughts without becoming them. And within that space, a new kind of stability begins to grow. You are no longer carried away by every emotional wave. You remain present, even in the midst of constant movement. The third principle is transformation through conscious repetition. Your mind is like a fertile field. Every thought is a seed. A single thought has little power, but a thought repeated over time becomes an inner direction. This principle is essential because it reveals that you are constantly shaping your inner world, often without realizing it. Every time you nourish fear, doubt, or negativity, you strengthen a mental pathway, and the stronger that pathway becomes, the easier it is for your mind to travel it again and again. But this principle works in both directions. If you consciously cultivate thoughts rooted in peace, clarity, and wisdom, you gradually create a new inner structure. This requires patience. Old patterns often run deep, but with gentle consistency, something begins to change. Your mind slowly starts moving in a different direction. You experience less tension, more clarity, more peace. This principle reminds you that healing is not a sudden event. It is a living process. And that process is shaped by what you choose to nourish, day after day. The fourth principle is acceptance without resistance. Whenever you fight against what you are feeling, you add another layer of suffering to the suffering itself. An emotion arises. Then your mind rejects it, judges it, resists it, and that resistance only intensifies what you wished would disappear. This principle invites you to completely transform your relationship with discomfort. Instead of running away, you observe. instead of resisting. You welcome. This does not mean enjoying pain. It simply means no longer fighting it within yourself. And within that space of acceptance, something quietly transforms. The emotion begins to lose its intensity. It becomes lighter, more fluid. You realize it was never your enemy, only a passing experience. This principle teaches that peace does not come from the absence of difficulty. It comes from your ability to remain present with whatever arises. And that presence is already a form of healing. The fifth principle is returning again and again to the present moment. The mind naturally wanders into the past or projects itself into the future. It replays old memories, imagines endless scenarios, anticipates problems that have not yet happened, and in doing so, it moves away from the only place where life is actually happening. This principle is simple, yet profoundly powerful. Healing exists only in the present moment, because it is the only place where you can truly act, feel, and transform. Whenever you gently bring your attention back to this moment, you interrupt the endless stream of unnecessary thinking. You return to your breath, your body, your direct experience. And in that return, the agitation begins to fade. You are no longer trapped inside mental stories. You are simply here. This principle requires practice because the mind easily drifts away. But every time you return, you strengthen your presence. Little by little, presence becomes natural. It becomes your anchor. And within that anchor, your mind discovers a place of deep rest, a place where healing can truly unfold. The sixth principle is consciously directing your attention. Your mind naturally moves wherever your attention is placed. The sixth principle is consciously directing your attention. Your mind naturally follows wherever your attention goes. If you constantly focus on what is missing, you strengthen the feeling of lack. If you continually dwell on what worries you, you feed anxiety. But when you learn to direct your attention toward what brings peace, what brings clarity, what creates stability, your inner world begins to change. This principle is profoundly important because it reveals that your attention is a creative force. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to. Yet so often, your attention is scattered, lost in automatic thoughts, pulled from one worry to another. The moment you reclaim this power, you begin consciously choosing what you nourish. This does not mean pretending difficulties do not exist. It simply means refusing to give them your entire presence. You learn to balance your awareness, and through that balance, your mind becomes steadier, less vulnerable, less controlled by constant emotional fluctuations. This principle gradually frees you from repetitive cycles of negative thinking. It gives your life a clear inner direction, and as you cultivate that direction every day, you begin building a mind that is calmer, clearer, and freer. The seventh principle is inner coherence. It is not enough to understand a profound teaching, nor is it enough to think positively from time to time. For true transformation to occur, there must be harmony between what you think, what you feel, and how you live. Whenever these parts of you are in conflict, the mind creates tension. You may tell yourself that everything is fine, while your heart quietly says otherwise. That inner contradiction weakens your energy. This principle invites you to gently bring these dimensions into alignment. It begins with honesty. Honesty with yourself, recognizing what you truly feel, without pretending, without judgment. Then gradually allowing your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions to move in the same direction. This process requires patience and kindness toward yourself, but as it deepens, something within you becomes profoundly stable. You are no longer divided against yourself. You become clearer, more grounded, and that inner coherence creates fertile ground for healing. It allows every insight you have discovered to become part of your lived experience. And within that alignment, you begin to experience a peace that is lasting, a peace that no longer depends upon external circumstances. but upon the balance you cultivate within yourself. Before we enter this final part of our journey, allow yourself to slow down for just a moment, because what you are about to discover is no longer simply about understanding. It is about direct experience. In this final section, you will explore 10 practices of inner transformation designed to help you bring every one of these teachings into your daily life. The first 5 practices will help quiet the mind and create a space of inner clarity. The next 5 will deepen that transformation, building lasting stability in the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you live. If you practice them sincerely, you will no longer be searching for healing. You will begin experiencing it. Taking action is often the most overlooked part of the journey. You may deeply understand a teaching. You may feel that it is true, but without practice, it remains dormant. These practices of inner transformation are here to bring wisdom to life. They do not require perfection. They do not demand extraordinary effort. They ask only one thing of you: a sincere and mindful presence. And it is within that simplicity that their true power is found. The first practice of inner transformation is returning consciously to your breath several times throughout the day. Whenever you notice tension, restlessness, or mental fatigue, pause. Take a slow, deep breath. Place your full attention on the simple movement of breathing. This practice immediately brings you back to the present moment. It interrupts the endless stream of unnecessary thinking and gently calms your entire inner system. Over time, this simple return becomes a natural habit, and that habit gradually transforms the way you experience every moment of your life. The second practice of inner transformation is observing your dominant thoughts each day. Take a few quiet moments every day to notice which thoughts your mind repeats most often. Are they thoughts of fear, doubt, judgment, or do they reflect clarity, confidence, and peace? This simple observation is already a powerful revelation. It shows you exactly what you have been feeding within yourself. And once you clearly see it, you can begin to change it. You do not need to transform everything overnight. You simply become aware. And awareness itself is already the first step toward healing. The third practice of inner transformation is consciously transforming limiting thoughts the moment they appear. Whenever you notice a negative thought returning again and again, do not fight it, but do not allow it to settle unnoticed either. Observe it, recognize it, then gently redirect it toward a wiser and more truthful perspective. This is far more than a positive thinking exercise. It is an active practice of awakening. You begin to understand that you do not have to keep feeding the thoughts that cause your suffering. For example, if your mind repeatedly says, "I will never succeed," you can gently replace it with, "I am learning, growing, and moving forward." The shift may seem small, yet it profoundly changes your inner state. This practice is not about denying reality. It is about refusing to strengthen the beliefs that limit your life. Over time, you create entirely new mental pathways. Your mind becomes more flexible, less trapped inside rigid patterns, and that flexibility opens the door to gradual healing, because it quietly dissolves the inner tension you had been maintaining without even realizing it. The fourth practice of inner transformation is consciously welcoming your emotions. Whenever an emotion arises, instead of rejecting it or immediately trying to analyze it, pause. Allow yourself to fully feel it. Stay with it. Breathe with it. Meet it with gentle awareness, without judgment, without resistance, without trying to make it disappear. The Buddha taught that what is fully seen can finally be released, and what is welcomed with awareness gradually loses the power to control you. This simple act of presence transforms your relationship with every emotion. You no longer fear what you feel. You learn to trust that every emotion, like every thought, will arise, change, and eventually pass away. The fourth practice continues by asking one simple question. Where do you feel this emotion in your body? Notice its location. Notice its intensity. Simply become aware of it. This practice invites you to remain fully present with whatever you are feeling, without trying to escape. That presence is itself a profound revelation. The moment an emotion is fully welcomed, it naturally begins to transform. It no longer needs to grow stronger just to be acknowledged. You begin to discover that you can move through an emotion without becoming lost inside it. And as you move through it, something quietly begins to release. The body softens. The mind becomes still. This practice asks you to force nothing, only to remain present with honesty. Little by little, you develop the ability to remain steady, even in the presence of discomfort. And that stability becomes one of the deepest foundations of inner transformation. The fifth practice of inner transformation is cultivating daily gratitude with full awareness. Every day, take a quiet moment to recognize what is already present in your life. Even the simplest things: a peaceful breath, a moment of silence, a meaningful conversation, a ray of sunlight, the warmth of being alive. This practice gently changes the direction of your mind. It leads you away from constant dissatisfaction, away from the feeling of never having enough, and guides you toward a quiet sense of inner abundance. This is a subtle yet powerful revelation, because it reminds you that your inner state depends far less on what you possess, and far more on the way you choose to see the life that is already before you. By cultivating gratitude, you train your mind to see differently, and that new way of seeing gradually transforms your entire experience of life. You begin to feel less frustration and more contentment. Within that state, your body relaxes, your mind opens. Healing no longer feels like a distant goal. It becomes something that quietly unfolds through these small, repeated acts of awareness. The sixth practice of inner transformation is creating intentional moments of silence throughout your day. In a world that constantly demands your attention, choosing silence becomes a profound act of wisdom. Turn off the distractions, step away from the screens, and simply remain with yourself without trying to fill the space. At first, that silence may feel uncomfortable because it reveals everything you have been avoiding. But that is precisely where the transformation begins. The moment you stop running from your inner noise, you begin to clearly see what truly lives within you. And within that clarity, your inner tensions slowly begin to dissolve. This practice allows your mind to slow down naturally. You are not forcing yourself to become calm. You are simply creating the conditions in which calmness can arise on its own. The more you cultivate silence, the more you reconnect with a deeper presence, a presence that is steady, peaceful, and always available. That presence becomes your refuge, a place where healing can quietly emerge without struggle. The seventh practice of inner transformation is consciously letting go of what you cannot control. The mind naturally wants to hold on. It wants to understand everything, to predict every outcome, to control every situation. Yet much of your suffering comes from trying to control what was never yours to control. The Dharma gently invites you to recognize this truth. Whenever you notice yourself clinging, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this truly within my control? If the answer is no, practice releasing it, not with indifference, but with wisdom. Let go of the need to force life to unfold according to your expectations. Trust the unfolding of each moment. This is not giving up. It is letting go of unnecessary struggle. The more you practice this quiet surrender, the lighter your mind becomes. Your energy is no longer consumed by endless resistance. Instead, it becomes available for what truly matters. And within that freedom, healing unfolds naturally. You discover that peace has never depended on controlling the world around you. It has always depended on the way you meet it. Yet this constant need to control creates an invisible exhaustion. This practice of inner transformation invites you to recognize the limits of your control, not as a weakness, but as a liberating insight. You do what you can with sincerity. Then you let go. You allow life to unfold in its own time. By practicing this conscious detachment, you release the mental pressure you have been placing upon yourself. You stop carrying burdens that were never truly yours. And within that lightness, your mind begins to breathe again. Healing naturally begins to unfold. because you are no longer constantly feeding the sources of your own tension. The eighth practice of inner transformation is consciously visualizing a peaceful state of being. Before going to sleep or during a quiet moment, imagine yourself resting in deep inner peace. Feel that calm throughout your body. Allow it to fill your mind. This practice becomes a powerful inner revelation because your brain does not always distinguish clearly between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. By cultivating this inner image, you gently guide your nervous system toward peace. You show it a new direction. Little by little, that peaceful state becomes more familiar. You stop chasing peace. You begin recognizing it as something already available within you. Practiced consistently and sincerely, this simple exercise gradually transforms your overall state of being. The ninth practice of inner transformation is aligning your actions with your conscious understanding. If you think one way, but continually act in another, inner conflict is inevitable. This practice invites you to notice those moments of inconsistency and gently reduce them. Make choices, even very small ones, that reflect the wisdom you have begun to understand. This inner coherence is a powerful revelation because it stabilizes the mind. You feel more whole, less divided, and within that alignment, your energy flows naturally. Healing becomes effortless because you are no longer fighting against yourself. The 10th practice of inner transformation is consciously surrendering to the present moment. Stop trying to understand everything immediately. Stop analyzing every experience. Stop trying to control every outcome. Simply return to what is here, right now. Breathe, feel, observe. This final practice is perhaps the deepest revelation of all. The peace you have been searching for is not somewhere else. It is here, in this very moment. The instant you surrender to the present without resistance, something deep within you begins to relax. You are no longer running toward a solution. You are already standing in the very place where healing can emerge. And within that space, everything becomes simpler, more effortless, more alive. What you have explored today is not merely another idea to reflect upon. It is a teaching that has the power to transform the way you live, the way you feel, and even the way you heal. You have discovered that your thoughts are not random events passing through your mind. They are living forces that shape your inner world, influence your body, and quietly guide your experience of life. Simply understanding this already frees you from a certain level of unconscious living. But always remember this: real transformation does not come from what you understand. It comes from what you embody. Every revelation you have heard today becomes truly alive only when you bring it into your everyday life. Observing your thoughts, welcoming your emotions, returning to the present moment, cultivating inner silence, directing your attention with wisdom. These are not isolated practices. They are a new way of living, a new relationship with yourself, one that is rooted in awareness, compassion, and the quiet wisdom of the Dharma. These practices may appear simple, yet their effects are profoundly transformative. And it is through this quiet, repeated simplicity that genuine healing is built. Perhaps you have been waiting for an external solution, something that could quickly repair what you have been feeling. But this journey has revealed something very different. Healing begins within your own mind, in the way you see, the way you think, the way you respond to life. This is not about rejecting the outside world. It is about reconnecting with your inner power. And that power does not arise from control. It arises from awareness. It is important to understand that this path requires patience. Your mind has been conditioned for many years. Often without your awareness, you will not transform everything overnight. But every time you choose presence instead of reaction, awareness instead of illusion, you move one step forward. Even if that progress is invisible at first, it is real. It is taking root deep within you. Over time, you will begin to notice that certain thoughts lose their power. Certain emotions pass more easily. Your mind becomes quieter. You are no longer swept away in the same way. Instead, you begin to experience an inner stability that no longer depends upon circumstances. And that stability is itself a form of healing. So tonight, or even right now, pause for just a moment. Observe what you are thinking. Feel what you are carrying inside. Then gently ask yourself, am I feeding the thoughts that keep me suffering, or the thoughts that set me free? That single question may become a profound revelation in your life. If these words have touched something within you, do not simply let them pass by. Take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may need to hear this message today, and subscribe to Dharma Light to continue walking this path of wisdom, mindfulness, and inner transformation. Because what you have discovered today is only the beginning. Everything that follows will be shaped, one moment at a time, one thought at a time, by what you choose to nourish within yourself.